how the only races that we hated were the ones that we ran and didn't win. Then we stopped playing with each other, started hating on each other, started noticing the color of our skin. Christians and atheists, immigrants, patriots, we love the country but we are not saving it. Wages don't raise to the rate of inflation, and half of the country hates all of the nation. It's funny that we think the world owes us something. All the phones got smart but the people so dumb. We care more about the likes on a selfie than our moms, and the only time we ever speak the truth when we're drunk. We won't always agree. No, I don't hate all police. No, your thoughts and opinions ain't facts, and they are not defining my reality. No, I think picking sides divides. It's probably what has got us here. United States is great regardless. That's what we forgot in here. Black lives matter, all lives matter. What's all this division for? It's modern segregation. This is shutting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around you. Anyone who knows me knows my feet don't fit in clown shoes.
Hello everyone, welcome to American Uprising. I'm your host, Coach Manna. Today's episode is titled, How Many Times Can You Be Lied to Before You Have Had Enough? The media thinks you're stupid. They think you have the memory of a goldfish. They think you're too stupid to remember 4 years ago, let alone 4 weeks ago. Their entire purpose is twofold: to keep you asleep and to pump you full of hate. See, it's the media's job to teach you what to think. And it is their goal in life to prevent you from learning how to think. Because if you learn how to think, then you're going to see through their lies and their baloney. This entire episode is going to be showing you different times that they lied and pointing these things out. I'm going to start with before Trump was even elected. Some of you may not remember, but they were claiming that the stock market was going to crash as soon as Trump got elected if he won, because he was going to destroy the economy. That's right. They wanted you to believe that a businessman who is one of the most successful businessmen in the world, let alone in the United States of America, would not know how to handle the economy like a career politician, pedophile, sycophant. And I'm putting it mildly. Hillary Clinton, a woman who never worked a real job in her entire life, and miss me with this nonsense that she was a part of a law firm. She wasn't a part of a law firm. She was using that as a front to her criminal business, and we all know it. Regardless of whether that's something that we want to debate down the road or not, there is no way that you are going to convince, and they couldn't, that this sycophant career politician was going to do better for the economy than a businessman who lived in the economy. Now, let's go down memory lane, shall we? Take a listen.
All right, on the markets in general, are you worried after a pretty quiet August, you're a pretty good investor, that we're in for a rocky fall? Everyone worries about that as we get to the fall. Are you?
Yes, absolutely, because we don't know what we don't know. I think there are so many external global influences on our market. You know, what money comes here when there's uncertainty overseas, what money goes into treasuries, and where does it go if, you know, rates go higher or lower. And then there's the uncertainty of the election. I mean, I have my Trump hedge on. In the event Donald wins, I have no doubt in my mind the market tanks. And so I literally have put on a more than 100% hedge.
Really?
That I'll put on stronger if it looks like there's a better chance.
What does that mean? Donald
forward.
Trump wins in November. What is Mark Cuban doing?
Mark Cuban, if the polls look like there's a decent chance that Donald could win, I'll put a huge hedge on that's over 100% of my equity positions and my bond position as well that protects me just in case he wins.
Now, let's see what actually happened.
President Trump connecting or trying to connect this amazing economy, household wealth, job openings to the midterm elections. And, you know, I keep saying, I think the Republicans, unfortunately, are victims of their own success. Everyone's doing so well, they don't care about the economy when they get in the voting.
That's right. And you get into this pattern where, and it's true whether it's good or bad, when it was bad under Obama, everybody thought and they were told this is the new normal, get used to it. In this case, it's the same dynamic. We're living our lives, things are happening a certain way, and we're busy. We're busy raising our families and, fortunately, busy with great new jobs and maybe busy with our vacations that we can take now.
Well, there's one lie, but wait, there's more. Do you guys remember Charlottesville? Here's what Trump actually said.
No, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
Look at that. Another lie by mainstream media. I guess Trump really did condemn the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists at Charlottesville. Son of a gun, another lie. But wait, there's more. Remember the tariffs? How they were going to bring down the American workers and devastate the economy? I don't take my word for it. Here's the Clinton News Network.
U.S. Treasury Secretary, joins me from Harvard. I guess, Larry Summers, the reality, I mean, it's important, even though it's micro and looking at the small stuff, but it's important to show the Harley-Davidson situation or Daimler-Benz, which says it's going to have to shift production, because this is the real effect of the trade wars that economists like you warn us about.
Richard, for me, this is about working people. This is about working people who lose their jobs in states like Michigan and Ohio, and other working people who get jobs in France. This is about working people in the Midwest who aren't able to do their jobs anymore because the companies they work for can't procure steel at a reasonable price because of the tariffs. This is about people who work in sales, in automobile dealerships, who are going to lose those jobs in sales because it's going to become so much more expensive to bring a car in to this country. This is about companies that are going to close that would have been saved by an investment from China or another country.
Right. Yeah, you heard that right. China would bring more jobs to America, and putting a tariff on China was going to devastate America. It was going to kill the steel industry, except it didn't. It was going to kill the sales industry, except it didn't. It was gonna kill jobs in the Midwest, like in Michigan and Ohio, and except that it didn't. For the record, it's funny to me how you take somebody from Harvard and they prop up China. I think it would be Harvard's best interest at this moment to distance itself a little bit from China, considering all that we know about Harvard and China and the Ivy League schools. But wait, there's even more lies. Do you guys remember kids in cages? Do you remember that beautiful lie that the media brought up? Oh, well, allow me to remind you if you're a little foggy on the details.
So we've been awaiting what you wanted to say. First of all, tell me what you think should happen next as far as the Trump administration is concerned with the family separation policy.
Well, they need to end this policy. It is unconscionable, it is immoral, it is wrong, and it is unnecessary. And I think that there is no question that it has become very evident to many, many people who've been watching the images that this is not reflective of who we are as a country. And it's got to stop, Ari. It's just got to stop. Full stop. It's got to stop.
Everything bad ever is on the head of this evil orange monster from hell. Especially if you're the media. Take these images of immigrant children sleeping in cages. Journalists, politicians, Obama flacks, they all blame Trump. Turns out the photos are 4 years old when Obama was in charge. Whoops. Then there's, this is even better, this photo. An all baby seat immigration detention bus, also blamed on Trump. It was called a prison bus for babies by an anchor, a prison bus for babies. How could anyone say that with a straight face and believe it?
Irony of that particular lie, how it still is moving forward today, and now they don't just have migrants in cages, they have migrant children in shipping containers. Probably because they're shipping them through their pedophile friends and getting them to the proper child sex trafficking avenues so they can get their product. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into the details of what that is. You'll have to do your own digging if you want to know what I mean by that. I think it's funny because that is the fake vice president, the non-winner of the 2020 election, sitting before a camera claiming that this policy, it just needs to stop. Then stop it. You're supposedly, and I don't know how else to put this. I mean, I guess you're the vice president now, right? You've got the House. You've got enough weak-kneed Republicans that you can jam through anything you want through legislation. So you're the 51st vote. Do like you did with the stimulus bill, where you were paying off all of your buddies overseas and all of your Chinese assets and all those states that murdered Americans for the sake of the COVID virus pandemic. You know, use your influence. But wait, there's yet even more lies. And no, I don't have more on the bus thing, the prison bus for babies, which, by the way, guys, that was a bonus lie that they said to people. And I know he said, I don't even know if they can believe that. Well, they don't believe it. But they think you're dumb enough to believe it. And make no mistake about it, they're insulting your intelligence. But do you guys remember that small, minor thing during Trump's first term where they talked about, I think it was something to do with Russia and collusion? I'll let them tell you about it. You probably don't remember, right? Here's another lie.
Good evening. For more than a year, the President of the United States has claimed the Russia story is a hoax. Now, a stunning indictment says it is not, no matter what the president has been saying again and again and again.
Everybody here in D.C. counting down to Mueller time. Sources telling CNN the president is not anxious. He's irritated about Mueller's testimony. Not anxious, but irritated about Mueller's testimony. The proof? He's on Twitter tonight, of course, yelling at Fox News and repeating his phony phrase about the so-called phony witch hunt.
The White House this morning is preparing for a fight with congressional Democrats over Special Counsel Robert Mueller's final report on Russian interference in the 2016 election. It is front-page news across the country, as one would imagine. Now, a summary released by Attorney General William Barr says Mueller found no collusion between President Trump or his campaign in Russia. Democrats want to know why Mueller did not say whether the president believes the president obstructed justice. Barr's letter says there's enough evidence to prove that.
That there's not enough evidence to prove that. I knew what you meant. The Russian investigation lasted 22 months, producing more than 2,800 subpoenas and about 500 witness interviews. It cost more than $25 million and led to criminal charges for a number of people connected to Mr. Trump, plus 25 Russians and 3 Russian companies. Major Garrett is at the White House, where lawyers are still waiting.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, remember that lie for 3 years? You know what amazes me? They think that the American people are so stupid that they won't remember the Russian hoax lie and how they said that the election was rigged. And then they tried telling us that this election had no way to be rigged, and as if they'd never said elections could be rigged in the past, right? Let me jump to the next one, because, oh yes, there is still yet even more lies that the media has been perpetrating upon the American people. We are now going to shift to Trump's COVID response. Maybe you don't remember because 2020 felt like 10 years in one. So here's a reminder.
You should come to Chinatown. Precautions have been taken by our city. We know that there's a concern about tourism traveling all throughout the world, but we think it's very safe to be in Chinatown and hope that others will come.
Back onto the reason we're here, which is the success we're having. Okay? Please, you could put it on. Thank you.
People should be more concerned right now with the flu in this country.
A lot of people are concerned about the coronavirus because they're hearing a lot of news about it right now. But the reality is, comparing it to the flu, for example, it's not even close to being at that stage.
What if it is worse? Is this a moment where maybe countries put politics aside, a little bit of pride aside, and do we have U.S. officials? Should U.S. professionals such as yourself get involved?
How worried should Americans be about coronavirus?
Coronavirus is not going to cause a major issue in the United States.
Accelerate whatever they're doing in terms of a vaccine. We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Medicare patients can now visit any doctor by phone or video conference at no additional cost.
The first 1 million masks will be available immediately.
As there were more cases, and it was clear that it was spreading out of China, where it originated, the president took this move that he was widely criticized for by Democrats and even some Republicans at the time, which was he halted a number of flights from China into the U.S. The idea was to halt this.
Responsive, late at night, early in the morning, and they've thus far been doing everything that they can do, and I want to say thank you, and I want to say that I appreciate it.
He returns calls, he reaches out, he's been proactive. We got that Mercy ship down here in Los Angeles. That was directly because he sent it down here. 2,000 medical units came to the state of California, these FMS, these field medical stations, and that's been very, very helpful.
The president has been outstanding through all this. The vice president's been outstanding. Members of the coronavirus task force, very responsive.
We had asked if we could have, New Jersey could have access to a piece of the beds that are on the USNS Comfort, and the president came back, called me a short few minutes before I walked in here to say indeed they would grant that to New Jersey. So that's a big step for us in addition to all the other capacity. That news is literally hot off the press, and I thank the president and vice president who are on the call together.
President Trump approved Arizona's request for a presidential major disaster declaration. I want to thank the president for a quick turnaround. We requested this on a Wednesday, and we had approval by Saturday morning. And we are grateful to the administration for their continued support and responsiveness.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the president and the vice president for doing a really good job of communicating with all the governors.
Yes, it's easy to forget stuff that the media refuses to cover. The fact that The Guardian did that is I'm thankful for as an American citizen, and I'm sure anyone who isn't a partisan hack is equally thankful for that. And the fact that it had to be done on C-SPAN because they kept cutting off when he tried to get this information to you. Maybe that's another question you should ask yourself. Why is the media cutting off the president when key information and truth is coming in through the screen? Because it gets in the way of their lies and they can't have it. Now, I'm going to talk about it, and I don't care. I'm not monetized right now. I don't have a huge following, so I know I can get away with this, but I got news for you. I don't care. Even if I was monetized and this would be the death of my channel, I'm going to say it. Because it's probably the biggest lie during this entire COVID fiasco. The fact that hydroxychloroquine helps and helped people and could have been administered to save thousands of lives that were lost unnecessarily because they didn't want hydroxychloroquine to be out there. Now, if you don't remember the hydroxychloroquine lie, take a listen.
Before it was deleted from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, millions of people, including President Trump, shared this video. It shows doctors in white coats giving a press conference outside the Supreme Court in D.C. Now, this event was organized by the Tea Party Patriots Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Here's founder Dr. Simone Gold.
We're here because we feel as though the American people have not heard from all the expertise that's out there all across our country.
Gold and the others on screen are actual doctors, and they spend the next 45 minutes talking about COVID and a lot of unproven or false claims about it, like this one from Dr. Stella Emanuel.
So I came here to Washington, D.C. to tell America, nobody needs to get sick. This virus has a cure. It is called hydroxychloroquine.
This is the claim that went mega viral, so let's break it down. Is hydroxychloroquine a cure for COVID? Both the CDC and WHO confirmed that there are, quote, currently no licensed medications to cure COVID-19. Hydroxychloroquine is being researched as a possible treatment, and the FDA originally granted an emergency use authorization for hydroxychloroquine. That lets doctors and pharmacists prescribe it outside its normal use. But the FDA revoked that grant last month because new evidence showed no benefit from the drug, and they, along with the WHO and NIH, urged caution because it was linked to heart rhythm problems, kidney injuries, and liver problems. So currently there is no known cure for COVID. Hydroxychloroquine is not proved to have positive effects, and it is linked to negative effects, meaning the overall claim that hydroxychloroquine is a cure for COVID is false.
I'll say it because that deep state actor didn't. That study that he's referring to was known as the Lancet report. Now, if you guys don't remember the Lancet report, it was the one that claimed that hydroxychloroquine actually killed people. Even though it had been a drug approved by the FDA and used by our veterans since the 1950s or 60s, whatever it was, maybe even before, but I believe it was the 50s or 60s, the Lancet report said that this hydroxychloroquine would kill you. But again, don't take my word for it. Let's take a listen to yet even more lies.
Meanwhile, 11 Alive is learning that despite warnings from the FDA, Georgia veterans are still being treated with a controversial drug. It's a drug for malaria, and the president once touted it as promising. 11 Alive Reveal investigator Faith Abube has our exclusive story.
When a Georgia veteran leaves the VA Medical Center after beating COVID-19, it's like a homecoming all over again. Just 24 hours ago, it was this veteran's turn at the Atlanta VA Medical Center to bask in the cheers, the flag waving, the claps, and the smiles. In her case, the battle against an invisible enemy has been won. But many other veterans haven't been as lucky. COVID-19 has killed 482 of them at VA facilities across the country. As of Wednesday morning, 8 had died in Georgia from the virus, and all but one of those were in the Atlanta facility.
If you need anything, seriously, the VA, we're here for you.
Despite the hard work of frontline workers at VA hospitals, the Department of Veterans Affairs has been under scrutiny after news broke that research by the administration found a controversial drug it was using to treat COVID-19 might not be as effective as previously suggested by the president. Out of 368 veteran patients the VA reviewed, 97 who took hydroxychloroquine had more than a 27% death rate. Compare that to 158 veteran patients who were treated with different drugs who had an 11.4% death rate. Here's VA Secretary Robert Wilkie talking about the study on MSNBC last week.
That's an observational study. It's not a clinical study. It was done on a small number of veterans. Sadly, those of whom were in the last stages of life, and the drug was given to them. And I have to also say that we know the drug has been working on middle-aged and younger veterans.
The VA has been downplaying the results of the research at its facilities, saying the findings haven't been peer-reviewed. As a result, the department tells 11 Alive it is still using hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID-19 veteran patients, including here in Georgia, with, quote, FDA guidance. The same FDA that warned just last week that the drug could cause, quote, serious heart-related adverse events and death in patients with COVID-19. The VA says since the FDA authorizes hydroxychloroquine use in hospital settings for COVID-19, they continue using it when medically necessary.
You look real good.
I feel better.
Good.
And Cheryl, we know civilian hospitals in the state of Georgia have been using hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID-19 patients. Piedmont Hospital told us yesterday they've now stopped using it since the FDA warning. We also reached out to Wellstar, Grady, and Emory twice in the last 2 days, but they've not responded.
Faith, this is really important because at one point the president said that hydroxychloroquine could be a game changer in potentially treating COVID-19 patients. We know that doctors use it for other conditions, right?
That's right. We know doctors have used chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine for years successfully to treat lupus, arthritis, and malaria. Right now, there are clinical trials being conducted to see how effective it is with COVID-19. But to be clear, right now, at this moment, there's no vaccine or treatment for the virus.
So they think you're stupid enough to believe that a drug that has been successfully used on patients with similar problems to that of which COVID causes, okay, is somehow, because it's COVID, now it's going to kill you. Forget the fact that you may take it for lupus or malaria or congestive issues with the lungs, but if you take it, and you'll live, it's a glorified wonder drug, right? But if you take it with COVID, you're going to die. Again, they're not referring to it by name, but the same study that local news station was reporting was the Lancet report. The same Lancet report that that mainstream media was using. Guys, it's important that you understand it's your local news too. Okay? It's not just your cable news networks. It's not just NPR. It's not just the radio. It's not just social media. It's your local news. They're all a part of this. And as soon as you wake up and realize how much garbage they're funneling down your throat, how many lies they're spewing, and they figure if they just lie to you enough, you're going to believe it because you're too dumb or you're too lazy to do your own research. They're banking on it. So here's the proof that HCQ actually does work. Take a listen.
Nope. Not
Only days ago, Professor Mandeep Mehra from Harvard University told media outlets across the world hydroxychloroquine had overall negative effects if used by coronavirus patients.
yes, that there is in fact a signal of potential harm with the use of these drug regimens. So that was essentially what we found.
On Thursday, Professor Mehra and two other scientists backed out of the study they had led and published in The Lancet. And the medical review withdrew the report. These retractions came after scientists from across the world had flagged inconsistencies in the study, including the particularly large number of cases involved, which no scientists could get access to.
Il trouve qu'il y a exactement la même moyenne âge, qu'il y a exactement le même sexe ratio, et je pense que c'est techniquement strictement impossible.
The Guardian has revealed the data all comes from a tiny U.S. company, whose handful of employees include a science fiction writer and an adult model. The World Health Organization first suspended its studies of hydroxychloroquine based on the report.
You heard that right. The Lancet report was written by a science fiction writer and an actress. And the World Health Organization took that as gospel and stopped their research. But I tell you, that alone is reason enough to never send money ever again to the World Health Organization. As a matter of fact, we should demand every dollar back that we've paid them from the beginning of time. And what is with these people from Harvard? Harvard, pick up your game, bro. thought you people were supposed to be smart. I mean, so far, between Mitt Romney, the dude in the beginning of the show, and this dude, I mean, you're yet to get the bat on the ball at this point. Like, you guys are way behind. I'm starting to wonder if maybe if you went to an Ivy League school, you might want to look into a refund. Just going to put that out there. But wait, there's more proof that HCQ actually works.
Evidence. Members of the mainstream media and the medical establishment gambled with your health, all in an effort to attack their political enemy, President Donald Trump. So while One America News stuck to just reporting the facts, here's what our colleagues in the media have been saying.
Wow, where to begin? So many false claims and concerning claims. President Trump defending his claim that he is taking a daily dose of the anti-malaria drug hydroxychloroquine as a preventative measure against coronavirus. Don't do that. Don't do what the president says he's doing, obviously, but we must say it.
It will kill you. I cannot stress enough. This will kill you.
It is life-threatening and dangerous, period.
A large new study links hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine to a higher risk of death.
Talking about hydroxychloroquine last night. Reckless.
Well, you know, it's not just doctors who are saying don't take hydroxychloroquine. It's also the Trump administration. It's the FDA.
Yes, FDA.
It's the VA. They've done studies. It's really bad for Americans.
Wow, this is a whole new level, and I think the president might be putting American lives in danger.
It is truly like a cult, and it reminds me of Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid and all that horrible stuff that we saw, 30 years ago, with people just following, quote, the leader, no matter what the leader says and no matter what the leader intends to do or where to take them. And Donald Trump, Freudian slip.
So I'm going to ask you that question. What do you have to lose?
Well, potentially you could lose your life.
Donald Trump could be the first president who ever tried to assassinate himself. His Twitter feed alone is basically the world's longest suicide note. He's trying to kill himself.
Did you just say that you took the hydrochloroquine? My sound is a little weird.
Yes, I took it.
Wow. I can't believe anybody with a brain would take that stuff. Why would you take that drug? There are terrible consequences.
Taking something that his own administration has said will kill you. His own FDA said will kill you. The VA said will kill you.
If somebody is repeatedly misinforming the American public about important things having to do with this disease, don't broadcast that. Don't listen to people who are lying to you about this disease. Certainly don't keep doing it day after day when they've proven themselves to be lying day after day. And honestly, it doesn't matter who it is. Show some responsibility, honestly.
And that's just scratching the surface. We don't have time to cover all the lies they've been telling. How can we trust so-called news organizations which are actively putting people's lives in danger by promoting their shameless conspiracy theories? And more importantly, if someone who had the Chinese virus watched CNN and MSNBC's reports and was then too terrified to try hydroxychloroquine as a result and later died, who is responsible for their death? It's a tragic question, but sadly it has to be asked in this era of fake news and...
Yep, you heard that right. They literally were scaring or trying to scare Americans, and I have to say they were successful in scaring Americans from taking a drug that very well could have saved thousands of lives. And to make matters worse, you heard from Rachel Madcow that literally talked about censoring anybody who tried to get this information out there. And if you don't believe that these things are interconnected, you take a look at what social media did shortly after Rachel Madcow's statement. All of a sudden, HCQ, you said that, it was like a 4-letter word. You might as well have been committing, a heinous crime on camera, YouTube would have come down on you, or did come down on you, and still does. Facebook, you name it. They completely whitewash your account if you dare mention HCQ. Now, here's another one. This is from Physicians Digest. So you can see up above, I'm going to have this, all of these links will also be in the show. The first one I'm going to go over is Physicians Digest. New study supports use of HCQ as effective treatment for COVID-19. Well, isn't that different than what they told you? Here's another one from the Geller Report. Okay, this headline states, and again, you can click on the link and take a look at it from below. New HCQ study shown effective. How many COVID deaths were caused by Democrats vilifying hydroxychloroquine? You know what? That's a good question. I'm not just going to put Democrats on blast. I'm also going to put Republicans on blast, because there were plenty of Republicans on Fox News that were either hosts or politicians that said the same crap that the other side was saying. So I'm sorry. I know what that headline said, and it's a great read, and you should read it because it's yet more proof that HCQ actually works and these people are lying to you. But I'm not just going to vilify the Democrats, because the Republicans are guilty of this as well. PJ Media, HCQ helps contain COVID-19 cases. New evidence and a major retraction. That's another link. And then we have NBC News. Okay? I'm going to open this one up too. This one talks about the Lancet retracts large study on hydroxychloroquine. You know, that report that was made by a science fiction writer and an actress? Yeah, they ended up retracting that because they realized, oh, well, that's not accurate. And by the way, the FDA and the VA never said it would kill you. Again, that's not just lying to your face. That's outright just bold-face. You're too stupid to type in a computer and do any minimal amount of research to find out the stuff coming out of my mouth is pure garbage. And you're going to believe me because I'm on television and I'm important. Okay? Here's another one. Times claims, you guys probably don't remember this. So the last article that I have on here is a New York Times article. When Trump was elected, they actually wrote an article, and several people in the media, I remember having a student coming into my room crying after the election because she had read this from several publications and legitimately believed it. Now I'll forgive her because she was a young kid, probably 15. I think she was a senior, but she was 17 years old. But this is the kind of crap that they were spreading. There was an article written by the New York Times, and again, there were several publications that said Trump was going to enslave the blacks all over again. That's a real statement. You can read that article. It's right there in the link, okay? But they were also claiming that Trump was going to lynch, homosexuals in the streets, and he was going to, put them in camps. This is the kind of crap they told you for 4 years. Now, I've given you, I don't know how many examples in this video of lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. All because they didn't like a guy who happened to be a Republican president. Now, I don't know if your mind's going to change on President Trump when all of this is said and done. My father once told me that you judge a man by his enemies, not his friends. Now, say what you want about Trump, but if you were to judge him by his enemies, not his friends, I think your outlook on President Trump would be a very different outlook. And I think if you were to look at the friends and the enemies of the pedophile pretending to be president, I think you'd be disgusted. So I think it's a good thing to live by. Guys, the question remains from the beginning of the show. How many times can you be lied to until you have had enough? Is this enough? Did you know half of these? Did you forget? Did you not realize? And if you did, when are you going to stop listening to the propaganda state-run television? And that goes for sports. That goes for entertainment. That goes for music. Unless you listen to people out there that are legitimately trying to get people to wake up, people like Tom McDonald. And I'm not just saying that because I have him as my music for my intro and my ending part of the show. I genuinely am a huge fan of Tom McDonald. And I'm not somebody who listens to that type of music. I'm a country boy. I like country music. But this dude, he's changing. He's changing people's mindsets. And I respect the heck out of him. And he's a great human being. You should check him out if you haven't heard him. I want to end on a biblical reading. I'm going to read John chapter 8. Verse 44 and 45. For you are the children of your father and the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning and a hater of truth. There is not an iota of truth in him. When he lies, it is perfectly normal, for he is the father of liars. And so, when I tell the truth, you just naturally don't believe it. For all of you God-fearing, American-loving, or whatever country you're from, country-loving patriots out there, never stop trying to tell the truth. Because the devil is out there, and he has poisoned the minds of many of our brothers and sisters. And rather than hating them, and rather than pointing fun at them, and rather than yelling at them, try to reach them. Because as Jesus told the story of the lost sheep, I think that's something that we need now more than ever. Because the only way we're going to win this war, and make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, this is a biblical war. This is good versus evil. And we need as many of our brothers and sisters to come back to the fold, join the flock as we can possibly get. So try not to be frustrated. Understand that they're going to naturally believe what you're telling is not the truth, even though it is. Because they've been corrupted by the devil. They've been convinced that they're being told the truth, even though they're being told lies. It's a hard reality. So I will continue to extend the olive branch to my fellow Americans and anyone around the world to join the flock once again. Because united, we will win. Divided, we will lose. But when I say, let me explain what I mean by that. We will lose the battle for America. We won't lose the war. We won't lose the war because, as I said in the last show, and I've said every time, God always wins. But let's make it a blowout. Let's not make it a nail biter. Let's not win by a field goal with no time left on the clock. Let's bring in the backups and run the same play for the last quarter and a half because the game's wrapped up. And the only way we're going to do that is if we bring our brothers and sisters back into the flock. All I could say is, God bless you and your families. May good fortune be bestowed upon you. And always remember, don't take my word for it. Research it yourself.
They tell you be yourself and then they judge you on the internet till everybody hates you for it. If Jesus was alive, I swear to God that y'all would cancel him, cause lately being negative's the real new normal. Yeah, if you're thick, you're fat, you're rich, you're bad, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're whack, they lie, it's facts. My generation needs a bunch of free condoms, cause common sense ain't that common. This is what they wanted, this is how they planned it. This is to control everyone on the planet. Then we put each other in caskets, protest and panic, and they take advantage to manage the damage. We won't always agree, nope, freedom doesn't come free. No, there was people people fighting, dying overseas so that you can have freedom and be home. I think the elites are real, but they ain't drinking babies' blood. They're creating chaos so they have something to save you from. Black lives matter, all lives matter. What's all this division for? It's modern segregation. This is setting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around you. Anyone who knows me knows my feet don't fit in clown shoes.